time management aspect, that's a really nice feature. Okay, 1038. I will attach the weight to the front of this as well, since we should have had the weight on before. I take the weight off so that I can fit the front mower, but obviously once we're done mowing, most of the work we do is with heavy rear implements. We've got the rear wheel weights, we've now got the front weight, and that should laden down the tractor to give us more traction as we're doing the heavy field work. Same for the class, most of the time we'll run a front weight on that. So how are we doing? It's 9 o'clock already. So I might need to speed up times more. Just because we can't get going till the ground dries. And that's summer, so it should be fairly quick for the ground to dry out. Yeah, we need 50 degrees for corn. And we're still only 48 ground temps, so not going to be able to do anything about planting until tomorrow at the earliest. I'm going to guess it's going to be last day of early summer before we can get corn in the ground. That's always the risk if you're relying on a corn crop, just not getting sufficient temperatures to allow that to happen. And this is a sort of a, what is it? This is a learning experience. I want to be able to produce maize, which means we're going to have to forage the corn. Might lease a forage harvester rather than buy the little forage header for a tractor. Okay. And we can put this at the side of the road as well. How's our squeak? Stop. Get out. Yeah, so we might, once we put corn in here, I need it to grow. Nitrogen's 120, 100. So that'll drop to about 60 to 80 once we finish the harvest. Again, we're not seeing any drying, so I'm going to really boost the time up. And there we go. I guess turning the engine on will help, but here we go. Are we set for enable straw swath? Do I really want to? Well, no. No, I'm just going to chop this. I really don't. I really don't want straw. That's not why we're doing this, and straw's just going to be a hassle. Although we do have the days to do it, because it's not like the we can do anything apart from prepare this field and the other one. So what's the yield like? That yield does not look particularly good. Oh, I should have maintained the header. I could go get the field maintenance trailer if I was that desperate, but as I've said right when we planted this is a bonus crop. I wanted to test growing some corn and foraging it and seeing if we could feed it to the sheep, which means we're going to have to store the the resulting crop in the silos until winter happens and the grass stops growing. Because for right now, the sheep troughs are auto-filling with grass. So once we have, once they stop eating grass, because there isn't any, we'll see if we can load their troughs with the yellow stuff, the corn. We already tried basic clover. That doesn't work. I could cut some grass and put it in the silos because our silos will hold anything. But this year we're going to try and do it properly. You can store grain. You can store this corn stuff and save it for the winter. And I know farmers that do that. So, you know, realistically we're good. You can't store grass; it dries out. And you know, the way the food usage setup is here, you have to provide them with grass, clover, or maize, and they don't accept clover because reasons. Oh, we do have those 2 clover bales in the shed, though. I could wrap them. That's always an option. It's actually an option I've been considering for the last 6 months of game time, that maybe we should wrap those. Okay, we are getting full. That's okay. But yeah, so yeah, the plan was to leave this field until the end of the year and plant it with corn, and then seeing if the sheep would accept the corn, or the sheep troughs would accept the corn this coming winter. And if they don't accept it, then going forward we would have to mow some grass and store it in our silo and feed them from that. But we'll figure that out later. And hopefully with the change of pace on this playthrough, me doing a lot of this, you know, a lot of the laborious, you know, things like the baling, cutting the clovers not too bad, but when you get round to then having to run around and wrap the 33% of the bales you created because the wrapper didn't get them as a follow me, that's boring, and I want to try and not do that on a stream. Feeding the sheep, I'm hoping what we've got set up now, that will work better. We'll be able to skip a lot more time a lot more quickly, but I'd like to start each new stream with, we're ready to do something that's productive and not cutting clover or doing a fertilization contract. If we're doing our fields, yeah, I'll run around and fertilize our fields, and that's something on our farm. Contracts are just for an achievement and for extra income over time. Okay, I'll jump out of that. Get back in here. Probably turn the engine off of the tractor. Let's do that. I didn't check the fuel levels on the harvest. Now, we really did set up the harvester for this year. I really should be filling. Oh, poo head. Don't do that. There we go. And we can fold that in. Anyway, so barley harvest, first harvest of, are we on year 6? I would have to go back and search through all of the videos for each winter and then figure out how many winters this series has gone through. I'm kind of guessing we're on year 6. Oh, air temperatures are up to 50. That's not good enough. We need the ground temperatures. Hopefully if the air temperatures hit 60, 70 degrees, then the ground should be warm tomorrow. And then that will definitely benefit us for planting corn. But still, we got the cultivator up here. I could do a slurry spread or digestate spread. I believe we have a whole ton of it down at the PGA now. But again, you know, corn is an unknown quantity for us. We don't know what nitrogen levels it requires. I'm just making assumptions that it needs as much as wheat, and wheat needs a ton. Still, this is going well. I think we get, I think, 2.5 loads from the harvester in the tipper. So as soon as we've done that, I'll set this off on a worker and we'll run the case back to the farm, tip the barley, and start the carting while the worker does the stuff. Oh, now a little hint for Farm Sim 22. Sometimes a worker will stop in the middle of a field with crop in it. And that's a problem. Normally, if we ended up, the workers don't kill crop, they don't do crop destruction, but you do. Now, obviously the option is if a worker has stopped in the middle of a field and you can't extract him, or extract the piece of equipment, you can turn off crop destruction, jump in the vehicle and drive it out without damaging your crop. In Farm Sim 22, you can give give a piece of equipment, a worker, with a go-to instruction, and you can just say, this piece of equipment, go to this point on the map, and so he will extract himself from the grown crop that would normally be destroyed if you drove through it, and take his vehicle to where you told him to, and it saves on your crop destruction. That usually is, you know, if you've got 2 fields close together and the worker's trying to do a turnaround through the adjacent field in the middle of the crop or something like that. But you know, a fertilization contract, you can have the worker drive through a field fertilizing it with wide tires and it won't destroy the crop. But as soon as you jump in to extricate the piece of equipment from the field, you'll destroy the crop. So just a little aside there. I still can't remember what the feature of Farm Sim 22 that was added that I thought that was really cool. But I guess I will figure that out over time and actually probably make a note so that I remember to tell you all what it was. How are we doing? We're nearly full again. I believe we've got about 8,600 litres capacity on this. So that's 16,000. Actually, I think the trailer's 30, so it could be 3.5 loads before that's a thing. And there we go. Auto stop. So useful. I'm kind of hoping that mod makes it to Farm Sim 22 soon as well. So it lets me harvest and text and drive. Text and harvest. we'll pull that forward a little so that we get the back end. Let's fill it up from the back for a bit. So we could potentially end up with a lot of barley. When's barley best sell day? I guess is the next question. Barley best sell day is the day after the Triticale's best sell day. So we're holding on to this crop for a long time as well. I suppose. But the yield will be good on, or fairly good on this, in spite of the fact it's not great. I'm not sure if that's because previously in this field we had sugar beets and they yield better than, or whether the yield is proportional. Might be proportional, and it could be. I think the pH is one harvest in, so a perfect pH and a okay pH that you've just harvested once. There's negligible difference, at least nothing that shows you on a sort of 10%, 20%, 30% scale. So with precision farming, I'm kind of guessing that we will be looking at, you probably want to put lime down after your third harvest, just because the lime level or the pH is then going to start affecting your yield. You could lime every harvest and keep it perfect all the time, but I think every third you might see a drop in yield over the course. But as far as the nitrogen levels are concerned, on this field and the one we bought, they are ideal. I'm not sure if the field we bought needs ploughed or anything like that. If it needs ploughed, I've brought the wrong equipment up. And the Axion's parked up on the planter. Well, I mean, the thing is this field is going to be harvested first. So once this field is harvested, I can let the Challenger loose with the cultivator, because this is our field and we haven't put anything in it that makes it require require ploughed. So not a big deal for that. I guess I could check that once we start getting into a straight line. We're about half full again, so this should put us on about 25,000 in the trailer. At the next tip, which should be somewhere across the top. I'm kind of hoping we get 3 full headlands before the tipper's full and we have to send him off to the farm. But yeah, I'm kind of guessing it's the moisture content of the crop that has caused that withered condition. And even in Farm Sim 22, we're still not getting to see any resolution to moisture. Although again, I'm not sure the crop failure features of Realismus's seasons mod is incorporated entirely into the base game of Farm Sim 22. Obviously the most obvious parts are But things like failure to germinate and death due to low moisture content or cold, they're not as obviously modelled. Now, I'm fairly certain if you let your crop go beyond the harvesting period, so if you need to harvest your crop in June, July or August, and it gets to September and you still haven't, then you're going to find that your crop will automatically wither at that point. And I think that's a feature of Realismus's seasons as well. Oh, now Farmer Cop did a trial this week, and you can harvest crops in the wet. That is now a feature of Farm Sim 22. But you will lose half your yield on quite a lot of them. What am I doing? I am set the harvester to go. So pretty much anything that uses a draper, canola, wheat, barley, oats, sorghum, they all harvest at 50% yield if you harvest during wet weather. So you kind of want to avoid it, because losing 50% of your crop, that's bad. However, if it's the last day that you can harvest something, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's raining for the rest of the day, maybe you just do it. At least you're getting 50% of your crop, you're not getting 0% of it. 50%'s not good, but at least it's something. There are some crops you can harvest and you get 100% yield anyway. So things like, I think it's potatoes, sugar beets, can't remember the rest, but olives and grapes, I think you can harvest those. And basically what Farmer Cop considers is the indicator. If you get into a harvester and turn it on with a header attached, and I think activated, it will say, give you a flashing warning message that's in the middle of the screen, kind of like turn the engine on before you try and turn on the header type of message. But it's you will lose 50% of your crop if you harvest during the rain. But for things like potato harvesters, sugar beet harvesters, and the olive and grape harvesters, you don't get that message. So probability is you don't lose anything if you harvest during the rain on those crops. And I kind of think they've missed a thing there, because some of the grain bins have dryers attached. The in-game grain bins, I'm going to stop there, and we'll bring the case around and hopefully it fills up. Very close, 3,100. Yeah, there should be more than enough to fill this. But there's different types of grain bins in Farm Sim 22, and there's the potential to say if you put a wet crop in one of the grain storage things with a dryer attached, then you can dry out the grain and improve the yield. If you don't have a dryer attached to your grain bin, then your yield is your yield. You have no way to dry out the grain. Yeah, just something I thought from observation, because people like Millennial Farmer, it's sort of, well, the crop's still wet, but we've got the grain dryer, so So long as it's below a certain level, we can just go out and harvest what's there and then put it through the grain dryer. If it's too dry, or if it's drier than it the minimum, the maximum they allow for, they just put the grain straight in the bins. Whereas I know other farmers don't have grain dryers, so it is what it is. You harvest it when it's ideal. And if it's not ideal, you either wait for it to dry out or you harvest it now and accept a lower payment for the grain because it's too damp. Oops. You know what I forgot to do? Yeah, so that thing's please start the engine. That's the sort of thing you see for it's raining and your crop is going to suffer. Okay, we'll put that there. We'll set that to a worker. He's going to cut into the field. I don't know if he's going to go left or right. Don't want that one. And off we go. And it does say it's snowing outside, so yay snow. Okay, let's try and get back to the farm without too much incidents. I'll go in this way. The hill's shorter, the road's flatter, so we'll be able to keep speed using this path. And we can drive past the sheep on the way out. Not that I have anything to do with the sheep right now, but we can drive past the sheep on the way out. So this hill, this is going to drain us. But it's short enough that we don't lose too much momentum as we're going through. And here we are. Yeah. Empty the barley. Oh, I've still got it going through the grain doors. Why did I do that? There was a reason I put it through the grain doors. I can't remember what it was. I could put the tip back to untold tip. What is that? 53.0. Oh, that's 53 meters. Is probably something to do with the tipside grain door 13, the lumberjack mod. Tipside back door, tipside grain door, tipside back.